Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com and sponsored by Nailcoat Hall. I am Tim, back once again with Mount's replacement for the last 2 weeks, Joe. How are you, or the last weekend this week rather, but anyway, Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fine, and not sure if Malk's watching, but of course, the obligatory Malk, you need to take care of yourself. We need you back here, buddy. That we got to throw out to him, of course, But in all seriousness, we wish Malk well. We just always got to take an opportunity to give him a little hell, I guess.
Yeah, we make sure he rests up nice, ready for the last race of the season. I'm sure it'll be a big one.
And today is actually shaping up to be a little bit of a big race as well, though. Even though it's the penultimate round, it's looking as though maybe Smoke has already got the championship not wrapped up, but sort of with one hand on the cup itself, because it has just been brought to my attention just shortly before the race that Russman does have a race ban for today.
Yeah, that could be an absolute tidal wave across the championship. If Smoke can score well, he needs, I think, 17 points tonight, and if he does that, it will wrap up the season without taking part in the next race. He wouldn't even need to be there.
Well, looking at the point standing, Smoke is at the top spot with 193. Russman has 185, so that's an 8-point difference going into today's race. But of course, with Russman not being able to be here in order to help fight for this championship, then that's going to almost guarantee that Smoke outscores him today. Now, granted, the way we award points in the Realistic Performance League, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, is that every driver that finishes get points. Now, you see we've got 13 drivers in the qualifying session today. We might have a few more join later on after qualifying, but just because you finish outside the top 10 doesn't mean you will not score points, as long as you finish. That is the key. If you finish, you get points. If you don't get points. It's as simple as that. It's a little bit of a different point structure than what you may be used to, but I think it really does help promote a nice, fair competition, and that is what we focus on here in the Realistic Performance League, because the way that we allocate these cars, of course, is that the faster drivers get the slower cars, slower drivers and the faster cars, and the allocation is reviewed and, if necessary, made changes to every week. And I think so far that it has produced fantastic competition, because here we are in the penultimate race, and even though one of the championship competitors has a race ban, it's still a very close fight.
Yeah, it is a shame that the race ban will interfere with the championship, but even regarding that, it's still been a good season and some close racing. It just goes to show it doesn't matter what league you're in, you've all got a chance.
So taking a look at Gel here in the Alpine, the first driver going to be setting a flying lap, just crossed the line now to start it. Going into turn 1, and out of turn 1 you have a little DRS zone. You might see some overtakes here, but they're going to be few and far between because it's just such a short straightaway. And then you go down into turn 2, and it's a downhill sector from here. You got to be very careful. But when you go uphill, this is probably the corner that's going to catch a lot of guys out, because you see Gel here. He uses a lot of curb, but he also backed out of that corner a little bit. So the track not really rubbered in enough. It does not have the grip necessary to go wide open through that corner. Some drivers might try it, though, but they're going to find themselves off the track and maybe into the wall. Now, this is a nice flat section here, and personally my favorite part of the course, but it's very tight, and you're not going to get a lot of speed, so it's really going to favor the wheelman in a lot of these drivers. And of course, we're in the third sector now, 54 seconds through the second sector. So the third and final sector, and it's really just a bunch of I guess, hairpins in a way, but very wide hairpins. Around the final corner, it's a bit of a hairpin, but it's wide indeed. It reminds me a little bit, actually, of a reverse Martinsville Speedway, a track that we have here in America. But as Gel crosses the line, time to beat a 1:16.521. Let's take a look at Sir Spud in the Red Bull now, who's on his first flying lap.
A 1:16.5 is good, but I definitely think we'll be going faster today. I think F3 set a fastest time of 1:15.8, so there's definitely room for improvement. I did see Gel backed off a couple of times, so we'll see what everyone else can produce.
And you know, right now you just have to worry about a banker lap. If you are able to get a semi-decent lap early on in qualifying, then if something goes wrong later on in your run, at least you have that to fall back on. You won't get the best starting position, but it'll be better than starting dead last, at least theoretically. Whereas, you know, if you go out there and you just bin it instantly, well, you're starting in the back and you've got a lot of cars to pass.
Well, that's very true, and not only that, it's very easy to invalidate your lap going around this track. So if you get one slightly slower banker lap in ready, so that you're not right at the back of the field, and then if you do invalidate on your next 2 runs, then at least you've got something to fall back on. So there is always that.
So Sir Spud down the front straightaway, crosses the line, and he will go to P6, a 118.2. JP in second, Simon Palmer in third. Both of those a 116.7 and 0.9 respectively. Michael Luke in fourth and Nitro Gash in fifth. Let's see who else is on a flying lap. Sunboy in the Alfa Romeo, so we'll take a look at him. He's in the first sector.
Well, I'm just keeping an eye on Ginger Tiger. He set a fastest first sector. He spun on his out lap, so he's gone out for another lap, so these will be lap old tyres. But he is looking quick right now. I don't know if Simon Palmer's sort of in front of him holding up a little bit, but we'll see how good the second sector is.
And if this is Ginger Tiger's fastest lap, of course it would stand to reason that he is going to start on those soft compound tires, so that might put him in a little bit of a disadvantage during the race. But it stands true for the medium tires that when you get a few laps underneath them, then they really kind of warm up, they rubber up a little bit, and they're able to, well, for lack of better words, rubber up, and they're able to really have nice grip around the track. So maybe the same holds true with the soft tires, but you just don't have that operating window lasting as long. And Ginger Tiger a 117.1, so definitely a better lap this time. Now let's look at Sunboy, who's in the third sector, going around the final corner and down the front straightaway. He crosses the line, goes to P9, a 118.7.
I wonder if that's just a slow lap around the track. That seems to be quite off the pace. Sunboy's usually pretty fast.
Well, definitely a banker lap for him. Let's see if he'll be able to improve. Of course, he's got plenty of time. 12 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Looking at Matty in the Aston Martin. He's in the third and final sector.
Yeah, if you want to keep an eye on him, I'm just watching Ginger. He's on a fast lap again. He's gone for another lap back-to-back, and he set a fastest first sector again, so maybe he backed off last lap.
Matty a 118.1. We'll take a look at Ginger now.
There's another second purple sector on that one, so he's on for a good race here, a good qualifying here.
So he's definitely putting a lot of laps on these tires. However, it is, in a way, he could just use this as a practice session. And I think he has one more set available. Am I correct on that?
I think he should have 2 more sets. This is his first set. He didn't pit as he goes second place marginally, so that was a good 2 sectors. I know there's a bit of a glitch sometimes where it says it's a purple sector when it's just his personal best, but it looked like a very quick lap as JP slides right in between them. Wow, that's crazy.
So meanwhile, we got Michael Luke in the Mercedes out on a lap. Well, on his out lap, rather. I had the right words there, Joe. I just had to get them in the right order.
I believe you, don't worry.
But
I think what you were saying about the softs wearing in, I don't think it's really beneficial. You only get about 8 or 9 laps out of these softs. So it's a brave and bold move. I don't know what he's planning. Maybe he'll go quicker later. Who knows?
Exactly, and that's the thing is, you know, he's going to be at a significant disadvantage if he does end up starting on those soft tires. So it's a very interesting choice for him to go 3 laps. Of course, we see JP did the same thing as well, and I'm sure that they do expect their times to improve later on a fresher set of tires. So, you know, maybe it's not going to matter at the end, but you really find that with a few tracks on the schedule that the soft tires are mostly a qualifying tire, and the real strategy kind of lies with those mediums or hards. So,
yeah, I'd have
you
to
say
agree.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'd have to agree with you. The softs are not a race tire around Hungary at all. They can get in 8 or 9 laps, maybe if there's a safety car towards the end, but it's usually those mediums, the soft to medium, or if you start at the top 10 of medium to soft. Hungary's not too bad on tyres, but it's not the best either, whereas Britain next week, they are really good on, it's really good on tyres around there. Regardless of the real F1 and tyre punctures and blowouts on the game, Britain's really good for tyres.
So Michael Luke starting his lap now. His best time a 1:17.034. Seeing that he's in the Mercedes, I do expect a little bit of a better time from him. Of course, Michael, we've seen him time and time again during the season have good qualifying runs and not really able to seal the deal. However, he was able to get a win in Imola a few weeks ago. So he was able to get the monkey off his back. He does have a win under his belt, so he has found the top spot of that podium. It's just not been as consistently as maybe he would like it.
Well, he's set for purple first sector, so time will tell. He looks like he's on a good lap here as he goes through the chicane. Keep it nice and tidy off the curves where it's raised, or you will go around or end up in the wall. I've seen that today. This week, sorry.
And Michael definitely using every bit of the racetrack. I think a couple of times he's actually getting the right side wheel in the grass a little bit.
It seems to be working for him. I won't judge it if he sets the fastest lap.
And, you know, it's funny. We were actually talking about it before the race, how, you know, in some places where logistically possible, maybe they should just put gravel traps down and make that the track limits. That way it makes the stewards' jobs easier. And if you mess up, well, then you just mess up. Well, Michael Luke just put some tires in the grass and set a pole time, a 1:15.925. So maybe my idea is not as good as I thought it was.
Wow. That would have ended up in a crash most likely if you had cover on there, but the white lines are meant to be the defining of the course, so we'll leave that on up to the race team there.
Well, technically speaking, he was within the white lines.
Wow, he was. He didn't have all four of us. That's very true.
So Simon Palmer.
His luck.
Yeah. But just to clarify, we are not at all saying Michael Luke disobeyed track limits. We're just referencing a conversation from earlier.
That's very true. I think Britain's the same. Out of the Maggots and Beckett's corner, everyone goes on the grass on the left side as they swoop round onto the straight. So maybe there's a good place for gravel too.
So looking at Nitro Gash now, his best lap time good enough for P5, a 1:16.767. Just over 7 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. A lot of sevens here today. Nitro Gash, though, trying to go to the pole time. He's going to have to beat a 1:15.9 set by Michael Luke. And I really just noticed, though, how much of a difference that is between him and Gel there in second place.
Well, it was a cracking lap. I saw he set the two purple sectors, but I didn't realize he was that far ahead. Gel is pushing right now to try and close that gap down a little bit, but I didn't see a purple first sector. We'll have to wait and see.
So we'll watch Nitro Gash, then we will watch the Alpine of Gel. We'll see if he's going to be able to get even close to Michael's time. I was saying that in the Mercedes, he should have a good chance to have a good qualifying lap, but again, much like you said, I was not expecting it to be quite that much.
No, I wasn't either. Gel is 4 attempts up, which would put him just behind Luck here. I know he didn't have the best third sector. As Gel one's wide, and he does actually invalidate his lap, unfortunately, so I'm sure he'll go on those again.
That's a shame for Gel, but he does have time for at least one more run. Let's find someone else on a lap down here. Looks like Delange in the Aston Martin, so good to see him. He has been able to join. He joined a little bit late, but got in just in time for qualifying.
As long as he's on the track, mate, that's all that matters.
Exactly, and he is certainly on the track and trying to set a fast time. Now, Delange is one of those drivers who is in our top 3 winningest drivers in the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League. Did you know that, Joe?
I didn't know that. I know about Spud because you said it enough times, but I didn't know Delange was up there as well.
I'm trying to find my notes so that I don't tell you wrong what our statistics are, but my notebook has got all kinds of disorganized stuff in here.
Organized chaos, that's what I say.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, he is tied with Sir Spud. So it is 7 wins for Sir Spud, Delange, Yas, and Scopefielder.
I see. Scopefielder's obviously not racing anymore, so there's 2 people who could extend that one a bit.
Yeah, myself and Malk, we both remember the days of Yas and Scopefielder racing around the track, and those were interesting days. That was definitely something to see.
Well, I wasn't about then, unfortunately, so I'll have to take your word for that one, as Gel's gone fastest in the first 2 sectors, so we'll have to keep an eye on this time.
Delange goes to P8, a 1:17.3. Here's Gel now going around the final corner. We'll see what he's able to do. He'll have time for one more lap if he hurries, if he needs it. Let's see what he can do. He goes to third, a 1:16.074. So the times are closing up, but Michael is still holding on to that top spot. And you know, George Russell got the nickname Mr. Saturday because he seemed to be able to qualify in the Williams car very well. Well, Michael Luke is definitely a qualifier, and we've said it that there's been many times to where he has not been able to seal the deal, save for Imola where he got the pole and won earlier in the season. Well, regardless of what happens today, you can't deny Michael Luke is a good qualifier.
He's what we call overseas as a quali merchant, that one.
A quali merchant.
A quali merchant, exactly, yeah. Good at qualies and, well, average at the rest.
I like that. I'm going to start using that.
It's a new one for you. You have to teach Malk that one if he's not watching.
Oh no, Malk is watching actually. I see his profile picture in the chat. I haven't actually been able to read anything yet, but I do see it down there. So he's not only with us in spirit, he's with us virtually as well. Speed Queen 80 going to 6th, a 1:16.919 for her.
Yeah, good lap. She's near the top of the standings. She'll be hoping for a good finish this year. 6th isn't too bad. She's a little bit off the pace, but there's still a little while to go just yet.
Looking at her teammate now, Sir Spud. Of course, they both drive for Speed Spud. They are second in the points behind No Michael No. And mathematically speaking, they are not out of it, albeit it's looking like a bit of a, bit of a far cry for them to get this championship. But mathematically not out of it. No Michael No has 382 points, and Speed Spud has 330. But with Russman's race ban today, if Sir Spud and Speed Queen can capitalize on a points haul, then they should theoretically at least give themselves a fighting chance.
Well, that's exactly it. I think Smoke's going to be trying to carry himself through the Driver Championship and the Constructors Championship. He's got a lot to work for today. He's sat down in P9.
So Sir Spud crosses the line and goes to 7th place, a 1:16.826. Let's take a look now at Smoke, except he's in the pit, so we can't. So we'll look at Simon Palmer here in the Ferrari. But he's invalidated, as I just noticed, so not going to be the lap he's looking for. Maybe he'll try to go again. Delaney Matty on another lap, as Delaney, his car-activated teammate, is in the pits. So a few drivers coming out on their out lap or staying out for a flying lap. Just over 2 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. If you want to set another lap, you need to do it now.
Yeah, you'll need to come out the pits quickly because it's about a 1:20 around there on an out lap, maybe a little bit longer. And if they get held up any racers behind them, they're going to be fighting to get across that line.
Well, it looks like the floodgates have opened, if my track map is anything to go by, because a lot of cars are now rushing out there to get one more chance at a flying lap. Matty coming around the final corner. As he crosses that line, he will go. Not enough of an improvement.
No, I'm just keeping an eye on Simon Palmer here. I don't know if he's up on his time, but he's not doing too good. Sab's retired, but I think he's in the pits, isn't he? Simon is on a fast lap. He's just stepped out to the second sector. Just 2 corners to go. Keeps it nice and tidy around the second to last corner. A lovely wide opening corner as Michael Lucky does go fastest. Again, he's put an extra 3/10 between him and Ginger. Let's see where Simon finishes as he comes over the start-finish line. He puts himself 4th. Not a bad effort.
So Michael once again showing how fast that Mercedes can go. What does Ginger Tiger do, though? He is, 1,000th of a second slower in the first sector. Pretty consistent so far, but he's going to have to find a little bit more than that.
Well, he just navigated some traffic. Hopefully they didn't hold him up too much.
And he is 800ths of a second quicker in the second sector. Third and final sector now. Can Ginger Tiger get close to Michael? Can he maybe knock him off of the top spot? This will likely be Ginger Tiger's final lap.
Got to pull some out of the back here.
He improved, but not enough. A 1:15.836.
Still a respectful lap, though. Still a respectful lap, but not fast enough for pole on this occasion.
JP 400ths of a second quicker in the first sector. In the second sector now, and qualifying is officially over, so whoever is on a lap, once they finish, that will be it.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Smoke here. I think he's got a lot of pace to find, so let's see if he can climb his way up.
Smoke in the AlphaTauri, our championship leader, his teammate and closest championship competitor, has a race ban today. So if Smoke scores points, he will gain even more in the championship with just 2 races remaining today and next week. Smoke, his final qualifying lap this time, out of the final corner. What will he be able to do as he crosses the line? He goes to P7, a 116.637.
And importantly, that puts him ahead of both Sir Spud and Speed Queen in the Constructors' Championship, so I'll be happy about that one.
So Sunboy invalidated, so he will not be able to improve his lap time. Gel, he might be able to improve his lap time, though, through the third and final sector and the final corner down the straightaway. What's he going to do as he crosses the line? It's going to be third, a 115.892 for Gel.
Starting on the second row, I wouldn't complain about that one. He can get a good start, and who knows, he'll be on the outside where all the grip is, but not necessarily the best entry to the corner, and you get caught up in the incidents if you're on the outside as everyone slides across turn 1.
And I do believe that what you see is what you're going to get. We're just waiting out that clock. Whenever it decides that we're able to go to the paddock, then we will. But congratulations to Michael on another pole on the season.
Yes, a class qualifying lap. He set the fastest lap, and people were catching him, and he just outdrove his Mercedes and set a quicker one. Just toying with them, I think.
And the difference is approximately 0.2 of a second between Michael and Ginger Tiger. So that is actually a pretty big margin, especially when you take into consideration that it's approximately 0.2 of a second difference between second place and fourth place, and only hundredths of a second difference between second and third. But your official starting lineup for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix: Michael Luke on the pole with Ginger Tiger in second, Gel in third, JP in fourth, Simon Palmer in fifth, Sab in sixth, seventh is Smoke, Nitro Gash in eighth, ninth is Deland, Sir Spud in 10th, Speed Queen 80 in 11th, Turok in 12th, 13th is Sunboy, Maddie in the 14th position. So 14 drivers going to be taking the green flag here today for 35 laps of racing around Hungary.
Well, I'm excited to see what the people at the top 10 decide to do with their tyre strategy. I think they've got to go mediums to softs, but we'll see what they decide.
And I, for one, am a big fan of reverse strategies. However, I also find myself outside the top 10 and having no choice but to do that. But never mind that. I do like reverse strategies, so we'll see if anyone does take your advice, Joe. Talk to me, though. Is there any realistic scenario where hards can actually do you any favors around here, except when you wreck? Because obviously if you wreck on lap 1 or 2 and you got to pull into the pits, get hard tires just to try to make it to the end, I get that. But like without chaos.
Well, if it wasn't for yesterday, I would have said no, I wouldn't expect to see the hard tires. I don't think they're the quickest tires, and the time you'd lose that you'd gain on tire wear, just it wouldn't do it. No.
All right, well, it is time for another prediction, and it's our top 3 predictions in any particular order. And I'm going to have to go with Michael, Gel, and Smoke.
Ooh, that's a bold call of Smoke. I think I'm gonna root for Michael to shake off the Quali Merchant name like Imola and produce a masterclass here. I reckon Michael, Simon Palmer, and Gel, I think.
Well, we'll are just about to find out. Ren says that he is not even going to start speculating who will do what. It's one of those tracks where everyone's styles will mix, and with such a narrow track, we won't escape surprises or carnage. You know what? I could not have put it any better myself.
Well, I see Daryl's talking about JPH yesterday. Like I was saying, I would say the hards would not be a race tyre if it wasn't for yesterday. JPH, I think he finished 3rd, and he started on those hard tyres. They did start wearing towards the end, and he was losing a lot of time, but who knows?
So just waiting for the drivers to choose their strategy, then we will be able to start our formation lap. Hopefully they're able to choose it sooner rather than later. I'm sure that plenty of them want to hurry up and get this race underway. 35 laps, so it's a bit of a big number than what we're used to, but it's such a short racetrack. You know, as you saw, the lap times are down to the 1:15.6s being the pole time.
Well, here's a question for you then. I've had this conversation with many people. Do you overfuel or underfuel the car?
I overfuel, but I overfuel by... I'd see. I'm trying to think of earlier in the season when I was actually racing for another league. I believe that I would overfuel by I'd say no more than a lap. I cut it very close because I knew that the weight was important, but I didn't want to underfuel and then be forced to save.
Well, the argument comes around time and time again. I usually overfuel by a lap as well, especially if I'm on that alternate strategy, which I do like. All the flat-out pushing, it does burn a lot of fuel, and I do prefer to overfuel. But with safety cars around Hungary at a tight, short track, they'll probably save some fuel there.
And look at the tires, Joe. You were correct. 3 on 3 out of 4 occasions. Speed Queen 80, Sunboy, and Maddie on the medium tires, but Tarak on the hard tires starting in 12th.
Well, I think he drives an F3, doesn't he? Maybe he doesn't have the confidence underneath the tyres, but he's got to put on those softs at the end.
I'm going to make a very bold prediction. Tarak top 5.
You reckon?
I do.
You know what? Let's see. Let's see.
Well, we're going to wait and see. He is starting from 12th, so he's got a tall ladder to climb. That is a 7-rung ladder, it seems. 7 positions he's going to have to make up to get into the top 5. But you know what? Who knows? Maybe he'll even be in the top 3. That's the thing, is we truly don't know who is going to do what until the end of the race.
Well, no, he does have the advantage. If he stays up on those hards, he probably, if he's going to go on the softs, he won't be pitting till lap 27, 28, and there's a good chance he'll be leading the race at some point. And if a safety car comes out, it could be all to play for him, and that top 5 could look pretty realistic to him.
But at the same time, the strategy really depends on a green flag run for the majority of the race, though, does it not? Because otherwise, that could really put him in a difficult position.
I think it all depends on when if a safety car does come out. If it's within 2 or 3 laps of somebody else's pit window, then yeah, it can mess with the race. But I tend to not dive into the pits if there's a safety car unless I am close to my window, because it seems like a good idea at the time. You lose less time, but it messes the rest of your strategy up.
And sometimes that's just the name of the game. You can plan, but, you know, love them or hate them, there is a reason why Ferrari have Plan A and Plan B. Even if sometimes they don't always work. But you know what? Sometimes strategies don't work, and we might see strategies today that don't work. We're about to find out. The drivers finding their appropriate positions on the grid, and you hear those engines driving, you hear those itchy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix. Michael Luke in the Mercedes out to an early lead, and it is almost chaos in the back. A lot of jostling around for position. 4 wide for position. The Ferraris, the McLarens, and the McLaren spins around. It's Nitro Gash all the way to the back of the pack now. Simon Palmer fighting his way into 4th place, but battling side by side with his car allocated teammate of JP, who has to let him through. So Simon Palmer stays in 4th for now. Ginger Tiger in 3rd, trying to keep Simon Palmer behind him. Gel is so far very comfortable in 2nd place. Michael, of course, almost a second ahead already, and we're still in the 1st sector.
Well, I didn't see what happened with Sunboy. I was actually on board with Nitro. I was about to say he got a good start. He jumped 2 people off the line, but he was a bit itchy on the pedal around that first corner, and he just spun it as he came out.
And Tarak has spun. He spun in the 2nd sector, and it looks like he's taken out a brake marker board, so hopefully that was no one's breaking point. But I think it's safe to say that Tarak and that hard tire strategy not going to work. Whether or not it was through his own doing is yet to be determined. Meanwhile, our championship leader in P6 and trying to just hang on. He's fighting with the Ferraris ahead of him, trying to break into that top 5 spot. Let's take a look at our leader, though, as he crosses the line to complete lap 1. He is 9/10 of a second ahead of Gel, and Gel's got to wait another lap before the DRS is active, so he's going to have to keep Michael within his sights, and that's going to be easier said than done. Michael is in the fastest car, and he has got clean air.
Well, Sunboy's gone around again, and Delange must have picked some damage at some point. I missed that when he's into the pits. I think Tarak has also picked up some damage. He's gone into the pit. Sunboy is free of damage as he carries on around the corner, but he's a good 20 seconds behind the rest of the guys.
So it's calmed down around the top 5 or 6, give or take, as, you know, Ginger Tiger, Simon Palmer, JP, Smoke, they're running not exactly nose to tail, but just in a nice single file line, just being calm and allowing the race to play out. Lap 2 of 35, plenty of laps left to go. No reason to burn your stuff up this early. But if we go back to the back of the pack, it's chaos. Not because of cars being close to each other, but because of what you said, everyone having damage and spinning. So Nitro Gas spun in turn number 1. Something happened to Delange to where he had to pit. And, you know, I don't know if he had a front wing change or just had to get new tires or what, but he's now on a fresh set of medium tires. Tarak has spun. So even though the cars aren't close to one another, they have not been a stranger to chaos after only 2 laps.
No, I think going back to what we were talking about strategies and strategies not playing out, that's really messed around with Tarak to race, because he can't put on those hard tires to the end as he has to use 2 sets of tires, and those mediums are not going to take him to the end, so he's going to have to pit again.
Ginger Tiger closing in on Gel. So we'll see if maybe Ginger is able to make his way up into the 2nd position. My question, though, is does anyone really have anything for Michael? It's really looking like Imola, to where he gets the pole, he gets out to a fantastic start. There's a little bit of chaos on the start, which just helps his position even further, and then he just runs a clean race and is able to win. Now, we're far from this finish, but it's so far looking like a slightly less chaotic Imola.
Well, I wouldn't hedge my bets too much. He is still fancying that grass as he goes around the corners. With a bit of tyre wear, he's going to have to watch what he's doing.
Watching the battle for 2nd on your screen at the moment. Simon Palmer slowly trying to creep in on this as well. But this is about to turn into a DRS train, especially down the front straightaway, which is where you're going to see the majority of your overtakes. That is by far the longest straightaway and most effective DRS zone. And of course, like we said, out of turn number 1, there is a slight DRS zone that you can maybe do a little bit with, but it's very difficult.
He's eyeing it around the outside as Gel goes very defensive, closes the door on him, and he should keep that position for now. That 2nd DRS straight, do you think is necessary there? It's quite small.
I don't think it's a matter of is it necessary so much as it's something. You know,
I guess, yeah.
Like, it's really not long enough for drivers to make a move, but it can help give drivers a little bit of an advantage. And, you know, who knows? If they can get a fantastic exit out of turn number 1, then they can make something of it. So I like the idea of it being there, but it is very short. I mean, you know, I'm a realist when I look at it, is we're not going to see a lot of overtakes there. But at least it is there. It gives the drivers something to fall back on what is otherwise a track with very few overtaking opportunities.
I don't know. I don't think I like the 2nd DRS zone. It's quite a low traction corner out of turn 1, which means that people spin the rears. And if 2nd place, well, the person behind does get a good DRS, they get a run on the next corner. And that quite often spells a bit of disaster going side by side down there.
Well, it might be disaster for Gel here in a minute, because Ginger Tiger finally got by him going into turn number 1 and clears him quite significantly. So Ginger Tiger somewhat comfortably in that 2nd position, but does he get the DRS? Yes, he does. Or no, actually, it was Gel who was able to get the DRS that time, I think. So I'm not sure what the detection zone is for that one. Are they using the same detection zone as the first DRS zone?
Well, I was wondering this the other day, because Ginger was actually the one with the DRS there, and I've noticed if you follow someone into the pits and they go into the pits and you don't, you do get DRS on both corners. So I got a feeling it might be the same detection zone. I think you're right with that one. And
that's very similar to how the track in Mexico is.
Is it? I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah, the detection zone for well, technically the first DRS zone, because it's on the front straightaway, is the same detection zone as the one out of the chicane.
Oh, really? There's quite a gap as well between the 2 corners.
Yeah, so if you were able to get DRS and then overtake your competitor down the long straightaway, then you're just going to be smooth sailing for the next short straightaway.
As long as you don't mess up through that chicane is evil.
Exactly. So looking at Simon Palmer, he's slowly creeping up on Gel. Ginger Tiger pulling away now, but still 2.1 seconds behind Michael, and it's looking like Ginger might be a little bit faster, actually, than Michael as we watch that time interval slowly drop down, but that's still a big gap that he's going to have to overcome.
Yes, indeed. Ginger is chipping away at it, but he's got some work to do if he wants to climb up into that first position. He's gained a couple of attempts around the first few corners. He's definitely not going to rule it out just yet. Oh, Gel's had a massive snap of oversteer. He's managed to catch it. That was incredible. Wow.
And we just caught the tail end of that, and that was definitely incredible, Joe. That's the only word that I have for it. Gel, definitely a wheelman in the cockpit of that car.
He wiggled all the way down that small straight. He lost it on the exit, went a little bit wide, got up on the curb, and as you turn at the end of the corner, it's not very nice, and he does manage to catch it, although he did lose a lot of time to Ginger Tiger.
So here's two rivals and competitors on track. Speed Queen 80 and your championship leader, of course, of Smoke just ahead of her. Now, I call them rivals because it was actually these two drivers battling out at Abu Dhabi earlier in the season. Of course, Smoke emerging victorious from that race. Speed Queen 80 almost had her first win of the season there, but was not able to seal the deal. And, you know, otherwise, they race well together. But they are definitely fierce competitors and two fast drivers, and they find themselves, once again, near each other on the racetrack.
I've not seen them racing together. I have to keep an eye on that one.
I just always think about Abu Dhabi. It was so close between the two of them.
Really, how close was it?
It was a last lap pass for the win.
It's nothing more heartbreaking than a last lap pass. If you're on the receiving end, of course.
Well, Speed Queen 80, unfortunately for her, was on the receiving end of that. Smoke was able to use the DRS to get by her.
Was it strategy? Did he save the ERS or?
I don't remember exactly, but knowing Smoke like I do, I'm positive he saved some ERS.
Well, he's burning through at this race. He's down to 25% already, so I don't know. We'll just go back and see.
Maybe Hungary does not agree with him. They're you know, much like everybody, he has got tracks that he likes and tracks that he don't. However, I've not really had extensive conversations with him about which tracks he prefers. And I really just kind of take it as when he runs well, he likes it, and when he doesn't, he doesn't. That's how I am, anyway.
Yeah, I think Hungary's a weird one. It's a track that I feel I enjoy and I feel I'm quick at, and then I put car to rubber, and it just does not result in a good position for me.
So Speed Queen 80 might have an opportunity on Smoke this time going down the straightaway. She's 0.3 of a second behind him, and she will have the DRS on the Alpha Tower. There she goes on the inside to Smoke throw a block. Not really, but I think he used a lot of ERS in order to defend that time.
I think he did. He's also got the tire advantage, so the exit on the last corner, he does have the advantage, so that might be why Speed Queen couldn't quite catch him that time.
And once again, down the second DRS, Speed Queen 80 making up a very small advantage, but of course nothing that she was really able to have an opportunity at. Meanwhile, the battle between the two Ferraris starting to get a little bit close up ahead, but we'll still stick with the battle for sixth at the moment. Meanwhile, though, we are going to have to join Ginger Tiger here in just a moment when they get to the third sector, because he is 0.9 of a second behind Michael Luke, and he will get the DRS down the front straightaway if he's able to stay this close. I'm wondering, is Ginger that fast, or did something happen to Michael?
I don't know, I wasn't watching him, but he's definitely caught up quickly, hasn't he? A second in a couple of laps.
And we saw that Ginger was eating away at the gap, but certainly not at that pace. And I think he's going to have the DRS down the straightaway. He was within a second in the detection zone. So the McLaren's going to get the DRS, and Michael knows it. So he is weaving, and oh my goodness, we have a safety car. That helped Michael that time. But maybe more so in the short term, because if the safety car had came out maybe 20 seconds before, they would be diving into the pits.
No, that's very true. This is going to play really into Suspud's hands. He pitted early. I thought it was a brave move, but maybe he saw something I didn't.
I don't know exactly what happened or what brought out the safety car. Sunboy, though, a DNF, that could very well be what happened. And it looked like Tarak just got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So we'll update you on our penalty situation. As, yes, Tarak does have a drive-through. Sab has got 3 seconds worth of time penalties, and JP has got 3 seconds worth of time penalties.
Well, I saw the track map, and it looked like that some way went off up in the top right of the track. I didn't see which corner exactly, but that caught me unawares, that one.
Oh, and smoke a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
This is not a time to be racking up penalties under the safety car. You keep it nice and slow and tidy, and just catch up with the pack.
We were watching him,
racing.
we were watching him, but we weren't on board with him, so we can't say one way or the other whether it was a track invalidation. So, who's to say? Maybe it wasn't, and maybe the stewards will have mercy on him if he decides to report it. But usually, these track limits violations, it's there.
Yeah, usually the case, even though it doesn't look like you go over, when you get a view from behind or from the side, the white line's the white line, I'm afraid.
Now, I have, in other leagues, certainly had instances to where there was solid proof that it was not a track limits violation and the penalty was overturned.
I don't know if I've seen it this league. I've had one remove myself for sliding across a corner and definitely not gaining any time. But usually, if you put all 4 cars outside the white lines, it is usually just a penalty. No one doesn't get overruled.
But I think that what you said was key, though, was an advantage gained. If you slide through a corner, obviously you're not gaining an advantage.
No, that's true, but then an advantage could be even a tenth a lap. It's an advantage is an advantage, and if you do run a little bit wide, you carry a little bit extra corner speed through the corner. It is a gain at the end of the day.
So Speed Queen 80, after the safety car period, finds herself in first. Maddie and Gel, your top 3, with Michael, Luke, and Ginger Tiger, your top 5. This is the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com and sponsored by Nelco Hall. Big thank you to our sponsors for jumping on board, supporting the stream and the league as a whole. 35 laps of racing around this circuit today, and judging by my math, it looks like we've got 26 laps remaining.
Looks about right to me. I think the safety car is going to, of course, have it for Speed Queen and Matty, as they couldn't pit under it. They're stuck on those mediums. Everyone's right behind them, unless they can pull a gap, but they're all going to be on fresher tyres. I don't know. It's going to be a bad one, this one, I think.
And safety car staying out this time, but, likely will be coming in next time, because we see Delange back there in the Aston Martin. He's just a straggler on our map. But once he reaches the end of the safety car queue, which I'm sure will be around the 3rd or 4th corner, judging by the speed, then we'll be okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to catch up with this pack, does it? As Burnt Mylander goes so slowly around all those corners as you hear everyone cry all the time.
Oh, yeah. But,
I bet you'll hear that once a race. I can guarantee it.
Well, I know that sometimes safety car pace is kind of awful.
To be fair, on the contrary, I'd like to see someone else razz an Aston Martin or a Mercedes around the track quicker. He's pretty good in that car.
Oh no, I just mean, like, from my perspective. I just hate going at that speed.
No, it does feel slow in an F1 car, that's very true. It's not like he's going around in an F1 car, is it?
No. So, my estimate was slightly wrong. Delange caught them in turn 5 and 6, it looks like, instead. So just at the tail end of the first sector. So, slightly off on my estimate, but it's okay.
Nothing to complain about it.
So, Speed Queen 80 will be the control car when the safety car pulls in. We'll ride on board with Maddie, see what kind of an advantage she can gain down the straightaway.
Do you think everyone will be able to take these mediums to the end? I see Renz is not too sure they'll be able to get it to the end.
I agree with him. I'm really not too sure that they will be. I mean, making it to the end and still being competitive are two different things. And I certainly don't believe that anyone that makes it to the end on the mediums is going to be that competitive, because you got to think that's 25-ish laps on the tires.
I don't know, I think lap 24, 25, if I was to start on those mediums, it would be when I'd come in, so you will be fighting at the end, but so will everyone else.
So you're saying it might cancel out?
I think so, yeah. I think obviously everyone's going to be struggling with the same tyres, so it won't matter too much.
Well, I guess we'll find out. The race is back underway. Speed Queen 80, a decent start, but maybe not enough as Maddie is slowly gaining back on her. Some jostling around for position in the back, though, and look at that. Gel going underneath of Maddie into turn number 1, so now the two Alpines pacing the field here.
That was a lovely move up the inside. I was watching Gel with that one. He was slowly gaining on the straight with Matty. It was a lovely move.
On board with Michael, and a little bit of a wiggle from the Aston Martin looking out the back, and there's not a lot going on.
Matty is on those warm mediums. It does look like he's struggling to get them up to temperature at the moment.
Position battle.
The inside.
Yeah, and a position battle between the two Alpines. My goodness, was there some contact there? Maybe.
I didn't see anything. I was watching on board though, so I don't know. But it was a lovely move.
Well, you did the same thing that I did. I went on board with Speed Queen 80 there just as the move was happening. So maybe slight contact, maybe not. But you know what? Sometimes that does happen. The one thing we do know, no wing damage and no one is off track. So that's good.
That's still the matter, as long as there's no damage. But as you say over there, Robin's racing, so let's see.
Exactly. Of course, the cars that we use over here in NASCAR and on local short tracks are more designed for that purpose than these are.
No, that's very true, yeah. There's a carbon fiber go find error if they tried doing that.
Exactly. Our cars have thinners. So Maddie doing a good job to defend against Michael Luke, a hard-charging Michael Luke, mind you, who is just weaving and wobbing and zigging and zagging, doing everything that he can to get by this Aston Martin because he knows that he's losing valuable time. The DRS is not active yet, so he can't even use that to his advantage. He will actually have to wait until the second DRS zone on the next lap to use that DRS. And guess what? That's the one we've been talking about that doesn't do a lot.
That's very true. He looked like he was going to have a think about the inside of turn 3, but that would be very risky.
So let's take a look and see how far behind he is from Speed Queen. He is 3.1 seconds behind, or behind Gel and Speed Queen, excuse me. So that's a big gap that he's going to have to overcome. Now, when he had the pole and he got out to the lead, that was okay. But now he has got to work through three more cars to get back into the lead.
He's definitely got the pace. He's climbing all over the back of Matty, but it's holding him up a lot as Gel is pulling away massively to Speed Queen on those worn medium tyres.
And the DRS is active, but Michael will not be able to benefit from it this time. He'll have to wait until the second DRS zone, but we might actually see an overtake in the DRS zone, even though it's because of a tire disadvantage on the Aston Martin. But let's see what Michael's going to be able to do here. And he's actually got the McLaren coming up on the inside of him.
There's no DRS in that second zone either, apparently.
Oh,
I guess
wow.
the detection's the same place.
Okay. However, it is funny, we still saw an overtake, but it was Ginger Tiger on the outside of Michael.
It did. I did not see that one coming. That caught me unawares, and I'm sure it caught Michael unawares as well.
So Ginger Tiger, possibly a dark horse in this race for a podium finish, and you know what, who knows, maybe even a win. I mean, these drivers, just because they're 3-4 seconds out of the lead doesn't mean they're out of contention. It just means that they've got a lot of racing and a lot of driving to do to catch up. But really the big thing here is Maddie holding up this pack. That's really been their Achilles heel, is just the fact that him being on those older tires is holding this pack up, because you cannot pass around Hungary.
No, there's just that straight, and if you're trying to defend from behind and attack in front, it can all unravel for you, like Michael saw.
And it will be a bit of a DRS train down the front straightaway, but I think that Maddie's going to be a sitting duck. There's no realistic way that I see him holding on to that third position this time. There goes Ginger Tiger underneath of the Aston Martin. Maddie tries, but he cannot keep it. And look at Michael actually following Ginger Tiger through, or at least trying to, and he gets the move done. But now the Ferrari of Simon Palmer is on the outside of Michael, and for a brief moment it was a 3-wide situation. There was another overtake in the second DRS zone.
I tell you what, he's going backwards here. He looked like he had the pace, but he is falling down the order. Matty is all over the back of him, even though he's on those worn tyres.
On board with JP, and he's trying to get by Maddie, but Maddie shuts the door on him. Those 14-lap-old medium tires just not working for that Aston Martin driver. Taking a look now at Ginger Tiger, who is closing in on Speed Queen 80 for the second position. Meanwhile, here is your leader out in no man's land. He's practically doing qualifying laps at this point, or practice session, because there's no one around him. He's 4.7 seconds ahead of Speed Queen 80 in second place.
He's just got to go careful he doesn't wear out those tyres, though. If he's putting too much into it, maybe everyone's playing the long game. There's still 20 laps to go on those tyres if he's going to stay on them.
Now, you do mention that, though, and I just noticed Speed Queen 80 is on 14-lap-old medium tires as well, so I find it very surprising. Now, granted, there is a bit of a performance difference there as we see Ginger Tiger making a move on Speed Queen 80 into turn number 1. There is a performance difference between the Alpine and the Aston Martin, but I find it very surprising that Speed Queen 80 has better pace on those tires than Maddie did.
Well, it is surprising, isn't it? He is on those worn tyres. She's in a slower car, so it is a surprise, but she's a master of what she does. She isn't in F1 for no reason.
She is really good at conserving her tires, I have noticed. I'm just surprised that she has not been able to, get a win this season by doing that. And, we were talking about Abu Dhabi between her and Smoke. She has been close. She has gotten podiums. She has gotten, top fives, points finishes. She's done what she's had to do. It's just she's not been as consistent as she's needed to and had the success that she's needed to be in the top spot in the championship.
I think it's one thing conserving your tyres, but it's another thing racing hard and conserving your tyres. I don't know if that's where she's tripping over the final hurdle, getting in the top fives, keeping those tyres alive so she can run the better strategy, but ultimately not quite quick enough to take that lead.
So lap 16 of 35 here, about to be lap 17 of the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com and sponsored by Nailco Hall. Big thank you to our sponsors for jumping on board, supporting the stream and the league as a whole, as Simon Palmer going around the outside of Speed Queen 80, but she's got the inside line, the shorter line, and Simon Palmer with the DRS, though, going to complete the pass maybe on the inside, and Michael going to try to follow him through, and Simon does not even complete the pass, but eventually clears Speed Queen 80. Michael can't do anything with it, stays in fifth.
God, I get nervous on Twitch just watching them go around that corner together, let alone being the one in the car. They must be stressing big time over that corner.
Oh, I'm sure it's very stressful for them, and you got to think, how does Speed Queen 80 feel? I mean, she's got to be struggling at this point with 16 laps on those medium tires. I know we were talking about she's good at conserving, and we've said that the medium tires can last a fair amount around here, but she's still obviously struggling. I mean, she's going backwards right now.
Well, I think that is inevitable with 10-lap older tyres. No matter how good you are on them and how much you look after them, they're still going to naturally wear a little bit more, so she's going to start struggling, but she's certainly putting up a fight, let's just say.
So looking at the chat, and someone says, how can I join? Can someone tell me? Well, that's actually very simple. You'll just have to get into contact with the Invictus Racing League. And oh, look at Michael Luke going on the outside of Speed Queen 80. It's a side-by-side battle through the second DRS zone, but which one's going to get the benefit of DRS? I think it was Michael. So Michael goes into fourth place, but Speed Queen 80 fighting hard on the outside. A side-by-side battle. Still, it's almost some contact, but they keep it clean, and Speed Queen 80 prevails this time.
I'm getting nervous and itchy again.
But going back to the person who was asking about how to join the Invictus Racing League, Joe, why don't you tell them what they have to do?
Well, we've only got one race left of the season, so there wouldn't be much point joining. But if you keep an eye on our website, we will be advertising the new season of the game on F1 20 on the new game, actually, isn't it? Is it F1 22?
It should be, yes.
I can never. FIFA's one ahead. Formula 1's one behind. I lose track whether it's 22, 23. They come out at different times, so that'll be why. But if they keep an eye on the sign-ups, I'm sure sign-ups will commence shortly after the game is released, maybe? I'm not too sure, but we'll have to keep an eye on that.
So yeah, just keep an eye on our website and our social media channels. Our season is almost over, but in approximately, a month or two, the new season will start.
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. I think it hopefully will be sooner than later. We'll all be hoping for that, but He said there was no assists. Can you answer that one, Tim? I'm not too sure the assists.
Well, Michael Luke battling in P5. We'll turn back to that here in just a moment. JP also throwing his hat into the ring here and almost pushing the Mercedes down the front straightaway. But Michael Luke is able to defend, and very well done. Speed Queen 80, meanwhile, able to get a little bit of breathing room, but it's not going to last long because those fresh tires on the Mercedes is going to prevail, and he will find a way around Speed Queen 80 sooner rather than later, I am sure. But JP getting very impatient back there in that Ferrari. And as far as whether or not it is no assist, sadly I cannot give you a concrete answer. I do know, though, that it is realistic damage as far as I'm aware, correct?
I think it's standard damage, isn't it? Not realistic.
Oh, it is actually standard
now.
Okay, so then they changed it, you said. All right, so actually we'll have to get confirmation for you on that later, whether or not assists are allowed, unless of course Craig is watching, in which case maybe Craig can help us out. Or even Malk, if Malk is still here. But Michael Luke looking underneath the Speed Queen 80. That was a big wobble down the front straightaway. But he should be able to at least gain an advantage here down this straight with the DRS, but not close enough to make that move. And it's going to be so frustrating for Michael, and especially when JP going underneath of the Mercedes really puts him at a disadvantage as far as fighting. But JP goes a little bit wide there, and he's going to have to be careful. He's already got time penalty. He cannot afford another one.
No, those time penalties will eat away at the drivers at the end. Usually there's quite a few penalties around this track, so they're keeping it nice and clean at the moment.
So JP in P5 and now chasing down Speed Queen 80. Looks like Michael actually might be losing a little bit of ground to the Ferrari, so maybe Michael ended up using up his tires a little bit too quickly.
Well, those tires, they're only 9 laps old. He needs to go careful if he's using them up too much.
This has been a fantastic battle, though, for 4th, 5th, and 6th, respectively. Gel 3.8 seconds ahead of Ginger Tiger, so no battle up there at the front just yet. But you were asking, how do you get to the website? It is invictusracingleague.com.
It is indeed. I did give him a link in the chat, but that is true. The assist, if I remember rightly, you're allowed the racing line, you're allowed medium traction control, and you're allowed ABS, but I think that's as far as it goes. None of the pit assist, DRS assist, all that are all disabled. But you can have medium traction control, and you can run automatic gears as well, depending on what you want to race.
And if you're JP, you can continue to stay behind Speed Queen 80 despite having a look through the second DRS. Speed Queen 80 doing a fantastic job at defending on these old tires. 20 laps on those medium tires, and she is able to hold off 2 cars that are faster than hers.
I'd love to know what a pit window is. That's what I want to know. She's definitely holding out for that one. It's got to be around lap, I reckon, 24. What do you reckon?
You know what? Her name's Speed Queen 80, so I think that maybe she's just got her namesake from a little-known racer named Lightning McQueen, who famously said, "No tires, just gas."
That'd be brave around here.
Had to throw in a Cars reference, but it's not entirely inaccurate when you think about the fact that, you know, in the sense she only changed tires because she had to, and she apparently doesn't need tires because she's fast enough on 21-lap-old tires. But that might be coming to an end as JP goes around the outside and might have an opportunity on her this time. And there goes the Ferrari into P4. Michael will stay in P6, though. Gotta be so frustrating for Michael. He's been fighting this battle for about 5 laps now, and he's really went nowhere.
I think he needs to just save some ARS. Everyone's getting a bit low. They're all burning through that ARS. So if he just saves a little bit and picks his moment just right, I think he'll be okay.
And, you know, sadly for Michael, he is not going to be winning this race. And that's just the fact. Unless we have a safety car or something catastrophic happens to the cars ahead of him, he's no longer in contention for the win, and even a podium is not really looking likely. And that's got to be very painful because he dominated the early portion of this race. He got the pole. He is, you know, one of the fastest cars here, but that safety car did not do him favors.
I've got 2 words for you, Tim. Can you remember them?
Oh, no.
Quali Merchant.
I guess so. But the quality merchant running in P6, it's at least not an abysmal day for him, and it's looking like he's going to get P5 eventually, so at least a top 5 for our pole sitter.
Oh yeah, he does look like he's going to get this. He's got miles more pace than Speed Queen down that straight, and he flies past before even the braking zone.
So I think that Speed Queen 80's tires have more or less gave up the ghost, and it might be time for her to make a pit stop. A safety car would save her race right now.
I think it would. She's going to fall so far back. Well, she's going to be at the back of the pack other than Matty, I think, who has pit for some hards. I didn't see why.
So here is your race leader of Gel, 3 seconds ahead of Ginger Tiger, who you see entering the chicane now in that McLaren, and of course Simon Palmer in P3, and then JP in P4 in the Ferrari as well, and then Michael, who just found his way back into the top 5, just behind him with Speed Queen 80 trailing but losing a lot of ground due to the older tires. So the top 5 are mostly on the same pit strategy. Gel did pit 1 lap earlier, but other than that, they've got about the same tire wear, the same tire age. So as far as the strategy goes, there's not going to be a lot of things to look for, but obviously if the safety car comes out, these drivers are going to pit for soft tires, and it's going to be a shootout to the end.
It is indeed. Michael was held up for a while, but he's caught up with JP quickly, and JP did just set the fastest lap last lap, so Michael's not messing about as he does set the fastest lap now. He obviously is putting his foot down, he's being held up, but he's going to try and make amends to that hold up.
And a little bit of slipstream down the straightaway also pays to his advantage. Of course, not expecting a move on this lap because there's really no other opportunity for him to make it, but he needs to pretty much glue his front wing to the gearbox of that Ferrari for the rest of this lap. And a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings.
He doesn't need to worry too much. There's penalties all around him, so he's still got something to fight for here.
Here is an update on our time penalties. 3 seconds for JP, Michael, and Sab. And actually 3 seconds for Nitro Gash and Smoke as well. Smoke back there in the 9th position.
He's going to have to try and climb up a little bit if he wants to wrap up this season already.
So your championship leader actually trying to keep Sir Spud behind him. So starting to think that maybe Hungary is just not Smoke's track. Now, mind you, Smoke, all he's got to do is finish, and he will be awarded points. Every driver that finishes in the Realistic Performance League does score points, and with his nearest championship competitor not in the race today, it is his championship to lose. Now, if the race were to end right now, and Smoke scores points, then his championship competitor is still in contention in the final race next week. However, it's just going to be that much harder for Smoke to lose the title. But the big thing for Smoke is to not make mistakes.
Well, that's exactly it. As long as he avoids a DNF, I think he should be safe. He obviously won't mathematically take the win today, but as long as he keeps his car on the track for the next 2 races, he should be okay.
So the only battle that we're really seeing on track at the moment is between Michael and JP. Michael slowly but surely creeping up on JP. He's within striking distance, but not a lot to really do there. Of course, they both have the same age tires, so the performance more or less equal between these two.
Well, they are fighting, aren't they? Michael isn't far behind. Nitro is also caught up to Delange, who's being held up by his teammate Sav, so we'll see what happens back there too.
Michael very close that time on JP, and I almost wonder if maybe we need a DRS zone down that straightaway in the 3rd sector as well. That might actually give drivers another opportunity to make a pass.
I'd be happy to move the 2nd sector to there. Oh, Nitro slid through the corner there as I was on board. I'm going to stop watching him. He seems to have a little mistake every time I go on to him.
Oh, don't feel bad. I've done that so many times before. But Michael making a move on JP down the front straightaway into turn number 1. But JP, is he going to do the crossover and get back by him? No, he's not. Michael taking advantage of the DRS in the 2nd sector and pulls away from JP.
He's got 8 seconds up the road. He just needs to put his foot down, make sure he extends that gap with his 3-second penalty. They've all got 3 seconds around him, but he could pick up another one. Just needs to make his way into that gap and just build some time over the cars behind.
So there is your penalties. 3, 3, and 3 for 4th, 5th, and 6th. 3 seconds being added on to the race time at the end of this race. So at least they're still racing for position.
Well, that's exactly it. It's heartbreaking if you have a penalty and no one else around you has one, but if everyone else has got one as well, it just inclines you to fight that a little bit harder.
And JP's actually losing ground to Michael now, so that's the thing is, I think I've found Michael's strengths and his weaknesses today. We know his strength is qualifying, and we know that his strength is clean air, because if he can get on the pole and he can get a good start, then he'll sail away. But his weakness is when he is racing with other drivers, he just has trouble, finding a way to navigate around them. And I'm not saying that he can't pass, I'm not saying that he can't race. It's just that he seems to have trouble navigating through traffic.
I think his killer is ERS. That's what I'm going to go for. He likes to burn through that ERS when he's battling. He uses it a little bit too frequently when he's not going to be able to make a move. You've just got to hold that ERS off for the straight, for the exit of onto the straight at least. You don't need to hold the ERS down for the whole straight because you will just burn through it and not gain much. But I think that's where he struggles when he's battling. He burns through that ERS. Everyone else is maybe a little bit more clever with the ERS, and that's why he can't get the passes easily.
So there is Ginger Tiger, who has somewhat caught up to Gel, actually. So 1.1 seconds separating these two drivers. We were talking earlier about is Ginger Tiger just that fast around Hungary? Well, it's starting to look like he is pretty fast, and he is in contention at least for this win. But he is not within DRS range yet, but it is slowly creeping up. And, Gel with 17 laps, 18 laps now on those medium tires, and Ginger Tiger with 17 laps. You really don't think about 1 lap difference in tire wear making much of a gain or loss, but could that maybe, come into play here, and could that maybe be playing into Ginger Tiger's hands just a little bit? Obviously, the McLaren is fast, but could the slightly newer tires also give him just enough of an advantage to stay within that DRS range?
Well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? 1 lap you wouldn't think would make all the difference, although more wear is more wear. Makes you wonder if that 5-second or 6-second gap he pulled, he was just burning through those mediums a bit too much.
My thought process is that whether or not it is a significant advantage, what you said, more wear is true, and even if it's not a significant advantage, sometimes you have to take everything that you can get, especially when lap times and pole positions and second places are won and lost between thousandths of a second.
It is, that is very true. He's definitely caught right up to the back of him now, and he's going to DRS on that straight.
And I think it's pretty much confirmed that Ginger Tiger's going to have the DRS down the straightaway this time, so we'll see what he's able to do with it. I don't think he's really close enough to even have a chance at a move, but it's all about the waiting game. He's going to get a little bit closer through these first 2 DRS zones, and if he's able to stay this close, maybe on the next lap he'll have a striking opportunity.
He's got 6 laps. He doesn't have to rush anything here. He's got a little bit of a gap behind him. Simon is gaining a little bit, but he can bide his time and make the pass where appropriate.
So half a second between them now. If he can maintain this gap, he has got an opportunity down the front straightaway. It seems that, realistically, in order to ensure an almost safe pass, almost safe, guaranteed, whatever you want to say, you need to be about 3 to 4 tenths of a second behind the car in front. Of course, that does vary depending on straightaway length and car setup, etc., but approximately that's where you need to be. So half a second, that's a pretty long straightaway. I think half a second should work for Ginger Tiger because we've seen how quick he is.
I think I'd agree. I reckon 4.5 temps. You don't want to be much more than that. But he will think about sending up the inside, I think, if he's that close. We'll have to see what he decides to do.
Well, he's 6 tenths now, but maybe he can gain a little bit more through this final corner. He's definitely going to be gaining down the straightaway, but it probably will not be enough for another move. But let's see what he's able to do nonetheless.
He's gaining. He's definitely gaining.
He had a little bit of a look, but he knew he wasn't going to be able to make it, and he backed out of it.
Yeah, that's some good racing for me. Hate to see it ending contact.
Yeah. And, sometimes, even when you know that you're realistically not going to make that pass, you at least have to have a look just to see, what is it going to take for me to be able to complete this next time?
I think it's sort of, there is that, yeah, they sort of get a feel for the track, see where they can brake, see what's the best option, but also seeing the car behind you weaving about, thinking about the inside, it does put you off, and it can open the door on the next corner if you just go too wide, too busy watching the car behind you, or even slide as you come out the next corner.
Also, if you get lucky and the car in front makes a major mistake, well, you open the door for yourself.
That's very true. The gap is there to be taken if that's the case.
Very rare, but certainly good to be in position to capitalize on it. I've heard it said many times. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
We'll see what prevails tonight.
Well, I honestly think that it's going to be Ginger Tiger and that McLaren that prevails because he is 0.4 of a second behind Gel, but with lap 31 of 35, it is going to be a 5-lap shootout to the end between the two leaders, and it's a side-by-side battle into turn number 1. Ginger Tiger will have the DRS once again, and a little bit of contact being made maybe between these two drivers. Ginger Tiger on the inside gets the move done in the second DRS zone. That was the move for the lead.
I tell you what, that second DRS zone is coming back to bite me, isn't it?
It's biting us both today. Here, you know what? Here we were discounting that second DRS zone, saying, "Oh well, yeah, it's not a lot's really going to happen." And look at what's been happening.
That's very true. That straight doesn't look quite long enough to make a move, but with the two DRS zones back to back, a little bit of extra speed, maybe a little bit better traction out the back if you're the one catching, it seems to be working for me.
It also made me bite my cheek that time, so now I get to taste blood. So that's always fun, right? So Hungary has literally drew blood from me, and I have never even been out of the United States in my life.
Maybe Hungary's making you hungry. What can I say?
All right, so lap 31, almost lap 32, and that is the stand-up comedian of Joe Hamster.
I don't know about that. It was there to be taken.
And hey, you know what? If you no longer go for a joke that exists, you're no longer a comedian.
I like that. I'm gonna have to keep that one just in case.
Lap 32 and 35 here, Ginger Tiger, Gel, and Simon Palmer, your top 3 with Michael and Sab, your top 5. This is the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com and sponsored by Nailcoat Hall, and you are watching the battle for the lead. Ginger Tiger and Gel, they have been battling for, I'd say, about the last 3 or 4 laps, and Ginger Tiger just recently overtook the Alpine. Looks like it's his to lose now, but Gel is still within striking distance, and if he's been fast all day long. So between the two of them, one of them's going to stand on that top spot, unless, of course, the dark horse of Simon Palmer, who has slowly been creeping his way into contention, has something to say about it. Now, I'm not convinced that Simon Palmer is fast enough to run down Ginger Tiger. That's almost 2 seconds that he would have to make up. However, just the fact that he has brought himself into contention this late in the race is impressive.
It is impressive. I wouldn't count out. He could be on that top step yet. There's still a couple of laps left. So 33 of 35 now. Gel should get some DRS and maybe gain a slight advantage on Ginger Tiger. Looks like Simon Palmer actually lost a lot that time down the straightaway. And you know what I think that was, Joe? Was that Simon Palmer just did not get the DRS off of Gel, but Gel got DRS off of Ginger Tiger. So that really just goes to show how much the DRS can benefit a driver. There is nothing more painful chasing a car down that has DRS and you don't. If you fall away from like a DRS train, it's heartbreaking watching that time. You gain a little bit through all the corners. You fight for those 2 tenths just to be snatched away from you on that DRS straight. It is painful.
And, I'm really honestly surprised that Gel has not been able to make up more ground than what he has on Ginger Tiger, because Gel was... If you really took the 3 fastest cars here, I would honestly... It has to be Michael, Ginger Tiger, and Gel as the 3 fastest cars. Simon Palmer in 4th place, just said and done, that's how it is. Michael, I think, still has the fastest lap. Gel, he was really quick in qualifying, and he's been quick in the race. And, of course, Ginger Tiger, you just saw him run down the leader. So those are the top 3 quickest cars here. But I'm very surprised that Gel is not able to at least fight with Ginger Tiger a little bit more.
No, I'm quite surprised as well. He's not letting Ginger Tiger run away, but he's also not making any inroads on him. He's keeping in that DRS, he's getting his time back when he goes along the straight, and he's clawing a little bit that he loses, but he's definitely not, he's not making a move at all up that field.
Rin says that Gel has got a backup plan. Well, we are about to find out. It's almost the final lap. This has been an interesting race, and you know, I would definitely say that it's a good race, although it looks like we have two races going on. There's one going on behind Sab, which is 5th on back, and then here's the race for the lead, and then, of course, Michael in 4th, who is just kind of chilling there on his own.
Yeah, he has pulled away, like I said. I think he's just going to settle for 4th. He'd be happy with that one, although not after the start he had. But 4th is not a bad position. But I was watching Speed Queen, and I thought she was going to clear these medium runners, but she's struggling to get through them.
Well, the last lap has started now. Ginger Tiger versus Gel. Gel, realistically, has only got this final opportunity to get by Ginger Tiger, and it's looking like it's not going to be done. So while it's not over until the checkered flag flies, it's going to take the lap of his life for Gel to pass Ginger Tiger. But this is still the battle for the lead on the last lap. Ginger Tiger, he has been quick. He was able to run down Michael Luke when he had a big lead. Then we had a safety car right when Ginger Tiger got DRS on Michael. So then Ginger Tiger has to just follow suit. He has to follow Michael into the pits, and he gets a fresh set of mediums. He does not restart in first. Instead, it is Speed Queen 80 who restarts in first. It's a mixed bag of strategies to where older tires held up some drivers, and newer tires obviously prevailed. In the end, the newer tire drivers find themselves running in the top 3. Ginger Tiger ran down Gel after what looked to be about a 2 to 3 second lead. And now, coming out of the final corner, the McLaren of Ginger Tiger will win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Gel finishes in second after a valiant effort, coming up one spot short. Simon Palmer in P3 in the Ferrari. Michael Luke, your pole sitter, a solid day, if not the result that he wanted, but still P4 is nothing bad. Sab coming home in 5th, a really good finish for him, and this is something that he is definitely going to need. However, it's going to actually be a 6th place finish because he has got a 3-second time penalty, but still, 6th place is good for this driver. Sab, he's had a rough season. He does have one podium, and now he's got actually a 7th place finish. My apologies, because Speed Queen 80 was able to jump ahead of him as well. So Delange in 5th, Speed Queen 80 in 6th, Sab in 7th, Sir Spud in 8th, 9th is Nitro Gas Smoke in 10th, and then 11th is JP with Maddie in 12th.
Well, I was watching JP at the end there. He picked up a bit of damage on the last lap, and he was falling down the order. It looked like a lot of contact back there. Hopefully, nothing too serious and nothing for the stewards to look at, but he did fall down at the end there. He looked like he was going to get a good 6th or 7th, and then he just slipped all the way down.
So we will talk to our top 3 finishers here in just a moment, but your official finishing results for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix is Ginger Tiger in first, with Gel in second, Simon Palmer in third, Michael Luke in fourth, fifth is Delange, Speed Queen 80 in sixth, seventh is Sab, Sir Spud in eighth, ninth is Nitro Gas Smoke in 10th, JP in 11th, 12th is Maddie, 13th is Turok, and 14th is Sunboy. One more race remaining on the calendar, and that is next week.
Well, I tell you what, Gel said don't expect him on the podium, but he definitely put up a fight today. He's in second.
So, what sort of time zone are the races? They all start in the Invictus Racing League. The races start at 8 p.m. UK time. So that is 3 o'clock Eastern time as of today. So now, I will warn you, I am over in the Eastern United States, so sometimes daylight savings messes with the time, but most of the time it's 3 o'clock Eastern, and it's always 8 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, your clocks change at a different time as well, don't they?
It does. So, like, for 1 or 2 weeks out of the year, the races will start at 1 o'clock for me, and at 2 o'clock for me, and then 4 o'clock for me. But most of the
That must
time
be
it's
so
3
confusing.
o'clock.
Yeah, I play with someone from Canada, and it does get confusing with the clocks changing at different times.
I'm used to it by now. I've been with Invictus actually for 3 years, so I've gotten used to it.
That's quite a while under your belt, that's for sure.
And I think we might have our podium finishers here in the party with us. I know we got Simon Palmer, and I know we got Gel, but do we have the winner of Ginger Tiger?
Yes, you do.
Alrighty, well then, guys, it's time for the interviews, but of course, please make sure that you've allowed your voices to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
I think we're all ready.
Alrighty, well then we will start with Ginger Tiger. So, Ginger, I can honestly say that I did not expect to be speaking with you today with you standing on the top spot of the podium, but you were lightning quick out there, and you had to run down the leader who had an 2+ second gap on you, not once, but twice. What happened there, and how did you do it?
I don't know. I know I had a good car. That was about it, really. It was just I didn't want to ruin my tyre, especially on the mediums, catching gel. So it was a case of I could see the clock coming down and down, but I was very wary of Simon behind me as well. So if I could keep the 2-second gap between me and him, and then catch gel, I was quite happy. But I wasn't going to make a lunge either. Just had to pick my moment, and I'm quite happy with that one.
So, what were your realistic expectations going into the race today, and did you exceed them? Because I was very shocked at how quick you truly were out there.
Well, McLaren's a good car anyway, so thanks, Joe, for giving me that for today. I appreciate it. And I had a good setup on Tuesday around Hungary. So having the McLaren and a good setup, it was really good. I knew I wasn't going to beat Michael Luke on the quali because we had a practice beforehand and he was so quick. So I knew, but he was carrying a bit of extra wing as well. I could tell that on the straight. So I wasn't too bothered about him getting away, but the fact that Gel got in front of me off the start was frustrating. It was just taking my time really, and no rushing and no mad moves.
Well, it's a good finish for you. The best finish that you could have had in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now we'll go ahead and talk to to our second place finisher of Gel. So Gel here in the Alpine, 1 spot short, but you were fast all day long. What could you have done differently, if anything, to get that win?
I think nothing. That I already noticed the tire degradation on the soft stint was very, very early compared to the F1 League. So I had a pretty nice gap. Speed Queen was making a nice buffer for me, and also Matty, I think. I could easily run away from them, and then I saw Ginger Tiger come closer and closer. Like some laps he didn't come closer, and I made a few mistakes, but I think he was faster than me, so I wasn't planning on battling him. I was planning on just letting him by, but in the end I can't just let him by, so I didn't really spend that much ERS on during the defending, and then once he got past, I tried to shift the pressure, because first the pressure was on me, and now after he passed it was on him, I'm sorry. But he held it very well, and my plan was to stay in his 7/10 area, because otherwise my tires would die out even sooner and I'd get even worse results. So I think this is the best result I could have gotten.
Well, second place for you is definitely a good points day. Congratulations.
Thanks.
And now we'll talk to third place, Simon Palmer. So, Simon, for you it was a clean race. Not maybe what you wanted, but P3 is still good. But the one thing I'm wondering is when you were coming up on first and second place battling with about 5 laps to go, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, it was a good clean race. I was 5-6 laps to go. I was just sitting there and hoping that the two guys would maybe battle it out a little bit more and leave maybe a window open for me to take some opportunities, but that didn't come. They had superior pace. Congratulations to Ginger and Gel. That was an awesome race. Pace was fantastic. I think all three of us had good pace, to be honest. But I can certainly feel the difference between that Ferrari car and the McLaren car. The McLaren's so much nicer over Ferrari. But yeah, all in all, it was a good race. I just got stuck in traffic after the safety car and the round of pit stops that happened, which cost a bit of time. But overall, yeah, incredibly happy.
Well, 3rd place for you today. It's a good day. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, that is all the time that we have. But a big thank you to everyone who watched. Thank you to all the drivers that raced with us. Congratulations to our top 3 finishers. This has been the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League Hungarian Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com and sponsored by Nelco Hall. Big thank you to our sponsors for jumping on board, supporting the stream and the league as a whole. And until next time, have fun and goodbye.